Choosing a color palette is one of the most important steps when planning your next crochet project. And here's the deal, it's so easy to get it wrong. I've done it more times than I care to admit, picking colors that I love that end up not working together in the same piece. The right colors can take even the simplest stitches and turn them into something that looks intentional and beautiful, while a wrong combo can feel off even if the stitches are perfect. So today we're going to fix that. We're talking about the biggest color mistakes that most crocheters, myself included, make, and how you can start choosing color palettes that truly work. This video is dedicated to all the crocheters who know they aren't the best at choosing colors and you need all the help you can get. I am that person, and these are the tips that I'm learning and applying to my crochet projects now. But if you've already nailed this skill or you are just naturally gifted at choosing colors for crochet projects, please leave your best tips in the comment section below. So what is the biggest mistake? And it's choosing colors individually without thinking about how they're going to work together. And it's so easy to do, whether you're wandering the aisles of your favorite craft store, you're online shopping, or you're just looking through your own stash. We're going to talk a little bit about color theory, and I'm going to share some of my best tools for those of us who are color challenged. Now, this might be giving you high school art class flashbacks, but it actually is a super helpful tool. A color wheel can help you build color palettes that actually work, and you don't need to have a physical one. There are tons of them online as well. So let's start with a few easy options. The first are analogous colors. These are 3 colors side by side on the color wheel. That could include teal, green, and blue. These colors are going to be calm and harmonious. Next are complementary colors, and these are 2 colors that are opposite one another on the color wheel. Think purple and yellow. This is going to be high contrast and bold. One thing I like about this particular color wheel is that it also has split complementary colors. So if you look at one main color like the orange and its complementary color is this blue, but the split complementary colors are on either side of that main complementary color. How many times can I say complementary color? But another way to choose colors is a triadic color scheme. These are 3 colors that are evenly spaced from one another on the color wheel. So if I have this orange here, the triadic colors are going to be these purples and then the greens. That is a beautiful color palette. Now, I'm a very simple person and I like clear rules. I like clear expectations, and that's why I love the color wheel. But even if you create a color palette that is technically correct, there are still mistakes that you can make that can trip you up. So we're going to talk about those as well. Another mistake that I make all the time is ignoring value contrast. If all of your yarns are in that mid to medium tone, it can make your project look flat. When we say medium, we're not talking about the name of the color like red or green. We're talking about the value of the color. And basically that just means how light or dark it is. For example, you can have a very light pink, a medium pink, and a deep dark magenta. Technically, they're all the color pink, but they have different values. And if you end up using colors that are all in that medium zone, no lights, no darks, it can kind of make your project look blah, like everything is blending together. And that's why mixing in some contrast with lighter and darker values can really help to give your project dimension and let those stitches really shine. This Sunburst Granny Square blanket is a perfect example. This is a pattern from Vintage Crochet Patterns, and I used the exact colors that the designer used, and you can actually see those values. You have lighter and darker pinks and even reds. So even though many of these colors are technically in the same color family, it gives this project so much interest. I would have never put these colors together, but I'm so glad she did. You can also try squinting at the palette to see if all the colors just kind of blend in together. Another tip is to take a picture of your yarns and the color palette that you've chosen and turn it into a black and white photo to check for contrast. If you've ever picked out yarn you've loved only to have the finished project look meh, you're not alone. Choosing the right colors for crochet projects is a skill, and that's where today's sponsor comes in. If you're looking to grow your crochet skills or you're a beginner and you want to learn the basics, let me introduce you to Creative Crochet Corner. They're an amazing resource for crocheters at every level with video classes from beginner stitches to advanced techniques. And yes, even how to use color more effectively in your projects. What I really love is that the classes are taught by industry professionals like Mary Beth Temple and Brenda KB Anderson. And if you're interested in exploring other topics about color for crochet, Creative Crochet Corner has so many different classes to choose from. Whether you want to learn more about colorwork, tapestry crochet, or even changing colors, you're going to find a class that fits your interest. For example, Fair Isle Crochet, Demystifying Colorwork will help you learn to crochet colorwork patterns that look as smooth and crisp as knitting. In this class, expert instructor Karen Woolley breaks down Fair Isle charts, color changes, and yarn carrying techniques while also mastering floats, encasing ends, and avoiding color jogs. After this class, you'll be ready to tackle colorwork patterns with confidence. But here's the best part. Creative Crochet Corner has an amazing deal for new members. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description box will get a full year of premium membership for only $1.49. That's unlimited access to their video tutorials, patterns, and even live events where you can get questions answered in real time. So if you've ever struggled with color or you just want to advance your crochet skills, Creative Crochet Corner is a great place to start. Thank you so much to Creative Crochet Corner for sponsoring today's video. This next mistake is using too many colors without a plan. This is especially tempting if you're making a scrap project, and if you don't have a unifying theme, it can just look chaotic. I crocheted a scrap granny square blanket last year, and I am so glad that I saw this tip from Jada in Stitches, and she recommended adding a white or a black strand to each one of the colors to give it depth and to unify the entire project. It kept the scraps from feeling crazy, and it made the whole blanket feel more purposeful. I also added a white background to each one of those scrap squares, and that way it made the whole blanket look like it was on purpose. Choosing a grounding color like white, cream, tan, charcoal, light gray, or even black can make a project feel planned and not just thrown together. Some yarns look amazing in the skein, and they may even look okay side by side, but when you actually crochet them together, they clash. I don't do this often enough, but crocheting a swatch can help you to nail those colors. This can reveal what's working and what's not. Another mistake is choosing yarns in bad lighting. If you're at home, try to take the yarns outside during the day, and that's going to help you to really see what those colors look like together. And if you're in a store, you might want to try to take them to a window where there's some natural light just to see what those colors actually look like, because the yellow or the artificial lighting in the stores or even in your home can really distort what the true colors are. But if you're buying yarns online, some sites like Premier Yarns have a way for you to compare the colors side by side, and I find this to be incredibly helpful. I have made every single one of these mistakes, and this is one that I've had to learn the hard way, and that's not considering the purpose of the project and just choosing colors that I liked. I talked about this recently in my last video, and I made a granny square blanket for my sister-in-law who was expecting her first baby, my little nephew, and I chose ugly colors. I'm just gonna say it. They were not cute colors. These were not colors that would make a beautiful baby blanket for a newborn. They were just colors that I thought would look good together, and it was a huge fail. And I feel so bad for my sister-in-law, but she was very gracious and accepted the gift with a smile on her face. So bless her heart. Now I try to think a lot more about who the project is for, maybe the colors that they would like, but also where is this project going to live? For example, if I was going to make a blanket for my living room, I'm probably not going to do something bright and rainbow colored because it just wouldn't fit in with the look of my own living room. But if I was crocheting something for my craft room here, I would 100% use rainbow bright colors because it would look fantastic in here. Color is such a powerful tool when you want to create a certain mood. One of the easiest ways that I have found to create beautiful color palettes is to think about the mood that I want my project to create. Do I want something calm and peaceful, cozy and warm, playful and cheerful? Different color palettes naturally invoke those feelings, and I have found that if I start with that mood in mind, it is so much easier to choose those colors. If you want a project that feels calm and peaceful, that soothes the eye and calms the mind, you might choose soft blues, sage or olive green, cream, light gray, or even dusty lavender. But if you want your project to feel happy and cheerful, bright, sunny colors that lift your mood, you could use golden yellow, coral, turquoise, soft peach, and some white to balance it all out. If you want to create something cozy and warm, perfect for fall blankets or hygge-inspired anything, think of mustard yellow, deep red, chocolate brown, cream, or oatmeal. But maybe you want something that feels sophisticated and elegant, something polished and grown up, but still creative. You could choose colors like charcoal gray, deep plum, dusty rose, ivory, navy. Or maybe you want something playful and creative, something fun like amigurumi or granny squares. You could use bright pink, lime green, aqua, lavender, bright white, or black for contrast. Or maybe you're like me and you love a vintage nostalgic feel. Something inspired by old photographs, 1930s wallpaper, and heirloom quilts. Think faded rose, olive green, soft mustard, warm beige, and dusty blue. That just gets my heart all aflutter thinking about those colors together. Now maybe you already know all of that other information and you just need a place to go to feel inspired and to get unstuck when you need to find the perfect color palette for your next crochet project. One of my favorite places to go is Pinterest. This is a place that has so many different color palettes, and many of them are in the wedding industry, and they are amazing because they are created by professionals. But one of my favorite ways to search on Pinterest is to add at least one color into my search bar and then add the mood or season. So for example, if I knew that I was going to use dusty rose and I wanted it to have a vintage or an autumn vibe, I could put that into the search bar and it's going to give me so many amazing color palettes. Now, I recently was influenced to buy these color cubes from Sarah Renee Clark. They really are an amazing resource, and I think these are super helpful for people like me that like to have a physical object. What's really interesting about these color cubes is that it is a collection of hundreds of different color palettes. And what I particularly like about it is that on the front of the card, it has the different colors, but it also has an image so that you understand the mood, the vibe that these colors are going to create. But on the back, it also has the hex codes of each one of those colors, and we as crocheters probably don't need that. That's really more important for those who are creating digital items. But the other thing that I like is that for each color, it's going to give you a 20% lighter and 20% darker version. And that goes back to those tones that we talked about, those medium, light, and dark tones. But what I really like about the color cube is that it's helping me to get out of my comfort zone and to look at color combinations in a new and different way. These are two of my favorite color palettes, and this one is way closer to what I normally would choose. I love that cozy little scene and all of those pinks and the browns and that little touch of, it's kind of a mango color, but this one is very different, but I absolutely love it. I never would have put this medium and darker pink along with this orange and maroon color. Never in a million years would I have put those together, but they look fantastic. I am having so much fun going through these cards and finding ones that really speak to me, ones that I just know that I am going to be incorporating into an upcoming crochet project. Another tip is to look outside of the crochet community for color inspiration, and one of my favorites are the quilters. I'm a little obsessed about the quilting industry right now because I recently went to H&H Americas in Chicago, which is a huge craft industry event, and there were many quilt companies there, and they were all so inspiring. And what I realized is that the quilters know how to put colors together better than anyone else. So I've been going onto Pinterest and Instagram and looking at the quilts and getting so many ideas for color palettes. Another great resource is books. I don't know if I should say another great resource are books. No, I think it's another great resource is, but I don't know. Another way to get color inspiration is through books. Now, I have a crochet book collection. I also have knitting books, and I'm starting to get quilting books. And these are a fantastic way to look through and find color palette inspiration. Most of the crochet or knitting or quilting projects that are published in books already have professional color palettes, and I find so much inspiration just looking through them and seeing what colors look great together. But don't forget your local library where you can find books on crochet, knitting, and quilting where you can really look for that color inspiration, but you're also likely to find art and color theory books there as well. I've been trying to put all of this knowledge into practice with this new project that I'm working on. I don't know what I'm calling this yet, but it's going to be a blanket based on my amigurumi designs of Mr. and Mrs. Humphrey, and I want to show you something that I discovered. This is where I started. I made these these 4 little floral granny squares and I added this little pink border, but I thought something is just feeling a bit off. It's a little muddy. There's not a lot of contrast. The only true contrast is in the centers of each one of these little flowers. And I just kept looking at it and thinking something's missing. But then I added the light pink border to the outside, and I think it was the exact right choice. And it was incorporating using those values. That's the darker pink there, and this is the lighter pink. And I feel like it finally made the project feel more balanced, and it just brought it all together. Once I added that color, I knew it was the exact right move, and I am so excited to continue making this. And if you can't tell, it's based on my obsession with quilts right now, and this is what I'm calling my crochet block, like a quilt block, and I'm going to make multiple of these, and I cannot wait to get this project done and share it with everyone. One of the best tips that I learned was when I started doing knitted color work. For knitted color work, you want to have colors that have contrast so that you're able to see the design that you're creating. All you do is take a strand of each color and twist them together. Twisting those yarns together is going to give you a lot of information. It's going to tell you if the colors are really muddy, if they have very little contrast, and they just kind of look blah together. But it's also going to tell you if there is a lot of contrast, because each color will be very visible and distinct. That's a great tip if you want to have a lot of contrast in your project and you really want those colors to stand out. Listen, there is no wrong way to crochet, and if you choose a color palette that breaks every single rule but you still love it, go for it. But if you've ever looked at a finished project and thought, why doesn't this feel quite right? I hope these tips give you a fresh way to think about choosing colors for your next project. But now I want to hear from you. Please leave in the comment section your best tips for choosing colors. But I hope you have a great rest of your week. Stay safe and happy stitching.